Everyone to another episode of Women Who Lead. I am so excited to be rounding out Diversity Month with the champions. These phenomenal leaders lead with passion and are always looking to champion opportunities to increase awareness, inclusivity, and education. Each of these women are laser focused on a mission to make a difference and are impacting their organizations by helping create inclusive offices, providing lending programs to help underserved markets, and leading trade organizations whose mission is to help increase sustainable minority homeownership for the communities that they serve. My name is Teresa Palacio-Smith, and I am Chief Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion Officer for Home Services of America and HSF affiliates. This series was developed because it was a passion for me and our company to introduce the talented and extraordinary ladies that you see right here that are part of our ecosystem. And for those who don't know this already, my family's originally from Colombia, South America. So when we decided to put this show together, we thought, what a perfect time. It's coffee time, most places, 10 a.m., wherever you are in the country, let's take that break so that we can get together. And we always ask, get us un cafecito? Would you like a cup of coffee, right? Because that's how we celebrate and kind of get to know each other as friends and better learn about each and every one of us and what we do. So today we're having that coffee break with these phenomenal women who I, again, call our diversity champions. So I love this quote. Never doubt that a small group of thoughtful, committed individuals can change the world. Indeed, it's the only thing that ever has. And that's by Margaret Mead. Don't you love that quote? It's amazing. And it really talks to these three women here today. So with us, my diversity champions are April Alexander. So April, she is the National Community Development and Outreach Manager for Prosperity Home Mortgage. She also leads the community lending team where the mission is to increase and promote sustainable homeownership that's going to help build generational wealth in diverse communities. She oversees special products and programs to ensure that Prosperity Home Mortgage has a robust suite of offerings that will allow for down payment assistance programs in majority and minority markets. And April and I serve on several boards together and trade organizations, including this year, she was added to NARUP's trade corporate board of governors on the regional side. She also serves on NAMBA, which is a minority trade organization that focuses on the banking industry, and also was recently added to Home Services of America's Equity Foundation, which is brand new. So that's a huge prestigious opportunity and an honor, April, to have you on the show. And I still remember the first time I met April. We actually met at a trade organization known as NAREB, N-A-R-E-B. And that organization focuses on Black homeownership and increasing wealth and opportunities. And we started talking, not realizing that we really were connected. And from that moment on, we just became what I call conference buddies, right? We saw each other at every conference. We hung out together, and we always made sure that our booths were close to each other so that we can connect and make sure that people knew of our mission to increase homeownership. Next, and welcome, April. I'm excited. And today is April's birthday. So thank you again, April, for being on this special day. So happy birthday to you. So Tamara, oh, you're welcome. Tamara Asbury. So Tamara is the Human Resources Manager for Harry Norman Realtors in Atlanta, Georgia. She holds a bachelor's degree as well as a master's degree in HR and also in human resources, and also is a professional human resources holder certificate. That's really hard to get. I know it is because I'm a member of SHRM as well, which is the Society of Human Resource Management, and I've never gotten that designation. So she has that designation, which tells you about her commitment to her profession. She's also very involved with the employee resource group at Harry Norman Realtors. And what I was so impressed about when I was reading her bio was that she co-founded a nonprofit organization called A Different Girl Incorporated, which the work they do empowers young women to become leaders that impact the community. And I love that. And her motto, listen to her motto: give the world the best you have, give the world the best you have, and the best will come back to you. Wow, that's really neat, Tamara. I first was introduced to Tamara by Stuart Lyle, who's the Vice President of Home Services of America's HR team. And he is so impressed with Tamara and told me that I needed to meet her. And that's how we got connected. And I'm so glad that I got a chance to talk to and get to know her a little bit more this year. And it's an honor to know you and to get to know you even more, Tamara. I'm looking forward to our conversation today. And then we have Julie Tran. Julie is a highly respected realtor, ranked top 2% of all the Berkshire Hathaway Home Services agents nationwide. She's been part of the chairman's circle, the president's circle, and she has received other recognitions as well because of her hard work and dedication. But she's also been featured on several magazines, including the Orange County magazine, as a top producer. And one of the most impressive things for me is that she's also featured year after year for the last 2 years on ARIA's A-List. ARIA's A-List is the most impressive list in the country, which really features individuals who are serving the Asian American Pacific Islander community. And so thank you, Julie. I think that's fabulous that you're doing that. She also currently serves on the Impact Council, which is the Berkshire Hathaway Home Services California Properties Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion Council, which was started this past year. And I think that's extremely impressive. And then last but not least, which is really incredible, she also, with all that she does, serves as the president of the ARIA OC chapter. And along with that, she also works on several foundations. How do you have the time, Julie? I met Julie through Gino Blafari, and Gino is one of those people that's a connector. He is what I call our influencer and really knows all the talented people across the country. And that's how I met Julie at an ARIA convention. And from that moment, we have become really good friends. And we always, when we're in Irvine, I always make it a point to reach out to Julie to connect with her. So let's get started with our diversity champions. And I am going to start with Julie first, Tamara, and then April. Tell me, how did you get started in this business that we're in? And for April, I know you're on the lending side. So tell us about that as too. So April, I'll start with you.
Oh, okay. Well,
oh, I'm sorry, Julie, I'll start with you. I don't know why I said that. I was looking at you, but I meant Julie.
Okay.
So what got me started in real estate was back in 2008 during the foreclosure crisis. My family business was declining, and we lost a lot in commercial real estate, and we ended up putting my home up for sale as a short sale. It was a very emotional time for me and my family because there's lots of memories attached to a home. And we hired the local area expert realtor that was in our community. And I remember that during that time, it was the way he made us feel during that transaction that it was just not a great feeling, especially when you're going through a situation like a short sale. And I remember thinking to myself that, I would never treat someone the way he had treated us and my family during that time. And so I thought, I thought I could do better and I could be better. So that was one of the big motivations for me to get into real estate, because I thought, people buying and selling homes is such an emotional process, and to be able to guide them and to provide that emotional support as well as, the professional advice, I think it comes hand in hand. And if you're not able to do both together, it just kind of reflects on yourself as a professional. And, that's kind of one of the big motivations for me to get into the real estate business.
Well, Julie, thank you for sharing such a touching story and such opening yourself up, because that's something, you're such a compassionate person and so loving and so caring. And I can see why you've succeeded in the role that you're in. And I really appreciate that you talked about, because so many people struggled through 2008 and lost their homes through short sale or foreclosures. And it was an embarrassing time for a lot of people. But the fact that you are able to walk people through and let them feel with dignity and respect is something I admire. So thank you for sharing that.
Thank you.
Tamara, how about you?
So I got into real estate actually through way of HR. I have 10 years of experience in HR. And so before I started my HR career, I was an elementary school teacher. So I taught kindergarten and first grade, but during the summers, I would go work for a consulting firm and kind of do some file things. But that firm decided to start a trucking company. They needed an HR person, and that was my avenue to get into HR. And so from there, I worked there for a few years, then went into worked for a hospitality company where I did a little bit more benefit administration. And although I loved HR, benefit administration was not my passion within HR. And so I found the opportunity at Harry Norman. I knew I would have a chance to impact culture there, and that's where my passion lied. And so that's how I ended up in real estate.
What a beautiful way to get into what I think is one of the best professions there is. And Harry Norman, for those of you who don't know, is one of the oldest real estate companies in the Atlanta market, and just historical. Even in the movie Driving Miss Daisy, you see a Harry Norman sign, which I always remember impacted me, for those that know that I love movies. But, and you've got some great leadership there too, Tamara. So again, thank you for sharing. And then April, tell us about the road to prosperity, right? I love that, right? Because it's such a perfect name for what you do.
Well, how I got into the mortgage industry is kind of similar to Julie's story. I was in my early 20s and buying my first home. And I remember the day of closing came, and the process wasn't a smooth process. My loan officer didn't seem like he was very educated in the process of lending. And the day of closing came, a few hours, I had all my stuff packed up and movers ready to go. And I remember getting a phone call from my loan officer, maybe about 2 hours before closing. And I'm all excited, saying, okay, so we're gonna meet, you know, at this place. And he's like, I'm sorry, April, but your loan was declined. And I denied. And I'm like, what? And he's like, yes, I'm so sorry, your loan was declined. I'm like, well, what happened? How could this possibly happen? And I'm already packed and gave up my apartment and have movers. And I was just so devastated, and I cried. And, you know, afterwards I was like, then after I cried, I got mad. And I said, you know what? I'm going to learn everything I possibly can about the mortgage industry, so this never happens to anyone else. And
oh my God. You know, and that is, first of all, the fact that you already gave your place up. People don't realize the processes and the domino effect that every transaction has within it, because there are so many steps right in the real estate process that you need to know and be aware of. And the fact that you were not given a reason, you didn't know what happened, you were not kind of educated through the process, and then you realized this is something I need to change and took action. I just think that is so powerful, April, and that was what makes you so good at what you do. And there's no doubt that you really do affect a lot of lives with the work that you do in the community lending team. Now let's pivot and talk about, you know, first of all, I want to see, and I want to show, right, all of the audiences, we have 3 different perspectives, right, that you are, if you're interested in the real estate career, that you can pursue. It's not just sales. A lot of people think it's just the sales aspect, right? But you got somebody who does sales, who's really passionate and very involved in the community, Tamara, who's in the HR side, and then somebody, April, that's in the lending side. Several different aspects of our industry that we're focusing on today, but they're all diversity champions. And the fact that we have that title today is because they all do very strong work in, you know, in making sure that they're champion diversity initiatives. So Julie, let's talk about some of the work that you're doing, as well as Tamara, as in Diversity Council, the Impact Council that's part of your group, along with Aria, and then Tamara with you, because you also are very involved with your ERG and what that means and what that involved and why that's such a passion for each of you. And Julie, I'll start with you.
Okay. So with Berkshire Hathaway Home Services California Properties, we started a new council called Impact Council. Impact Council is the acronym for Inclusive Mindset Promoting Action to Change Things. And our goal is to create a culture that acknowledges diversity and respect for all people from all walks of life. So we have a really great group of people on our council. We meet together monthly. We're working on creating marketing with inclusive language, implementing ways to connect with associations such as ARIA, NARA, VA Rep, and making that accessible to all of our agents within our California properties. So that's something that we're working on right now, and it was such a great group, and we've got a lot of exciting things planned for that. With ARIA, ARIA is a national organization. My chapter is Orange County. So we are working on a couple of different things with our home ownership fair this year, helping first-time home buyers, down payment assistance programs. And the beauty of this is because I'm part of Berkshire Hathaway and our Impact Council, we're kind of working on collaborating together, bringing ARIA and Berkshire Hathaway together to help to work on this home ownership fair this year. So that's super exciting, and I'm super excited about that. So.
And that's such a great thing, right? And again, I don't know how you found the time, because you're so involved and so committing in the impact that you're changing and making sure that you create generational wealth for the future of the industry. Tamara, you're also involved with your ERG, and of course, you've got the nonprofit that we mentioned earlier that you're also involved with. So tell me about that and why that's so important to you.
So, we started our ERGs this week, so our employee resource groups. And that was really important. Impact and culture was, like I said before, so important to me. And so we have all offices that are all across the Atlanta area. I wanted to figure out a way that we could connect people because diversity is about connection, really. You understand people, you're better to get along in different people's perspective when you connect. And so how can we bring people together that have similarities, but may not even realize it because they're not in interaction with each other every day. And so we started a few groups. We started a new employee group. We have a parent resource group. We also have an employee DI group, and we have a young professionals group. And so that's one of the things that we're doing. And then we also have a people and culture council here at Harry Norman. And so that council is with our leadership, and then it also involves employees and agents. And so with that, we have 3 initiatives that are really important that we focus on. Those initiatives are looking at our company policies and procedures to make sure that they're inclusive. And then we have an initiative where we're making connections with colleges. And so we've done that with Georgia State there. And then we also have a group where we're looking at the talent development within the organization. And so we just have been going forward with those and those initiatives. I'm really excited in the work that we're doing there.
Well, wow, that's amazing. That's a lot of different initiatives that you have seen a need for. And each of your companies are doing such incredible work because it really filters down. And what it creates is a place where people want to come, whether it's our clients, whether it's our agents and it's our employees, they want to be there, which is, again, I commend you. And April's doing the same. She's doing it externally. She's working with the community lending team at Prosperity Home Mortgage to create programs and also awareness, involvement with all different organizations. So tell us a little bit about, April, the work that you do and why you're so passionate about it as well.
Well, I guess the major initiative, as you mentioned, was the creation of the National Community Lending Team, and whose focus is strictly one and only focus is to increase minority home ownership. And, they do that through education, going out to nonprofit organizations and HUD counseling organizations and educating potential home buyers on the home buying process. And, basically, I guess why that is so important or, such a passion of mine is because of the disparity in, minority home ownership and white home ownership. We all know what the home ownership rates are right now, and they seem to be kind of not moving in the right direction or not moving at all. And, you know, the time is urgent, you know, to me, it's an urgent matter that we make a difference. And the community lending team is making an impact, one family at a time. We all know that the fastest way to build generational wealth is through home ownership. And that's what we're here to do.
And April, I have to tell you, you know, the work that you guys are doing, you're led by Tim Wilson, who's the CEO of Prosperity Home Mortgage. And I can tell you, he's so committed to making sure that you have the capable, available programs that really make a difference. But
Yes.
April, the work that you do and the community lending team, and shout out to all of the community lenders. I know a lot of them who really are the face-to-face interactive with our clients as well as our agents, because
Yes.
the biggest right, the biggest part in all of it, in each of that you mentioned, is the education piece. You know, what down payment assistance programs do we have? What are the VA programs that are available for our vets? You know, we've got medical programs. We've got all these great programs that can help lives and can enhance and can assist in those areas where down payment is a need, because the cost of housing, a lot of times I get the question is, well, I don't understand, why do we need down payment assistance programs? You know, people should not have to, you know, that's almost like we're helping them. And I'm like, think about it. With rents as high as they are in such the larger communities that we live in, how is it possible that if 60 to 70% of your income is going to pay for rent and utilities, that you could ever put aside any money for down payment? Now, if you're able to pay a rent, what makes you think you can't pay a loan? Right? A mortgage, that you are creating wealth, right, for your own family. That's what we got to remember. It's not the fact that they can't save or they can't have the down payment. There's no generational wealth to go to, right? There's no money that can be handed down. So these are the important programs that you create, that I'm, again, you can tell I'm like passionate about, because I understand what that means. we were able to buy our first home, and that went to our second home. Then I became a homeowner, and it became generational thought of home ownership. And that's what we got to change, right? We got to change that. And the truth is 42% right now of African Americans, that's the lowest rate of the community for home ownership. 47% for Latinos. It's a much higher for Asian American. I think it's at 57%, Julie. And so base compared to 64% with 74% with white non-Hispanic.
Right.
And so 74%, which the total is 64%. We just got to increase those numbers to make it fair. Again, big deal, a big deal. And all of you, now we're going to switch gears. All of you have at one time, I know I have, faced discrimination. We all have, right? So tell me about, as a woman, as a minority, we're looking at intersectionalities, right, of different things that happen. How have you been able to overcome any challenges that you're willing to speak about? And Julie, let me start with you. And I think too, the fact that that you shared the foreclosure short sale, that might even be, the way you were treated. And April, you too, right? So let's share. I'm going to start with Julie, then April, and then Tamara.
Okay, well, for me personally, I mean, I grew up in a very stereotypical Korean family. Always respect your elders, be quiet, don't argue, be submissive, don't talk back. It was a very male-dominated culture. Men are always considered head of household, and so I kind of grew up in that age. So, I mean, being a single mom of 3 kids, raising my kids on my own without any financial help from my ex-husband, I feel like it forced me to break that stereotype of, men being the head of household all the time. So, going through tough life situations forces you to overcome adversity. So, for me, like, it was kind of taking initiative of my own life and not stooping to people's expectations of you. So just like growing up in that stereotype, I always felt like I had to, depend on a man or depend on somebody to kind of take care of me. But, because of that situation, it forced me to kind of overcome that and made me the stronger person that I am today. So in a way, it was kind of a blessing in disguise, I guess.
Well, I love that you shared that too, because it's so true, right? We sometimes come from I was very similar, right? That parents and the way we're raised puts a different perspective. And again, you were definitely able to overcome and being a single mother and raising some beautiful children. I know you have three beautiful children, and the work that you do and how proud that you are of them and how they've been able to overcome their own adversities as well. And April, let's talk to you, because I know you, obviously, I think that something happened there with your loan, right? It seems to me, right? And maybe I'm jumping to conclusions, but tell me anything that you see and how were you able to overcome that?
Well, overcome discrimination in general is just that, and I was raised pretty much as in a stereotypical Black family, and I grew up in New York. I grew up in the projects, actually, in New York, but I never would have known that I grew up, I never knew that we didn't have money, that we were poor, because my parents kind of sheltered us, I would say, from that fact. I thought you couldn't tell me that I wasn't rich or that I wasn't, so to me, I was never apologetic, and still am not apologetic of being a woman, a Black woman. That's who I am. But what I've come to realize and how I've overcome it is that now I realize that my voice, now realize that my voice has value. It always has value, always had value. But now I'm able to speak up and I speak out. I see things that are wrong, or if I see things that can be done differently, that I think we can do this better, I speak up, and I say, hey, well, let's try this. Why can't we do it this way? And, that has gotten me, where I am in my career today. I'm now part of the leadership team and I have a seat at the table and I'm proud of it.
I love that, April. And certainly, speaking up really does help. And so, a lot of times we are intimidated by our own insecurities. And I think that sometimes we're scared to speak up, especially if you're raised, in a way where you should, honor others, never speak out of turn. But the fact that you were raised the way you were really has made you very strong. And I can tell you, you just are a dynamo, and I'm so proud of all the work that you're doing. And I only can see things rising for you. Tamara, how about you?
I would say similar to April, learning about my voice and being an advocate for myself. I grew up, my dad was military, so we moved around a lot when I was younger, but when I was in middle school, we moved to Peachtree City, Georgia, and I found myself in classrooms where I was the only little brown girl there. And so topics and things would come up and I had an opinion and I would voice it. And so I just learned how to let people know how I feel. And I have a certain way about doing that. I'm not somebody that's kind of in your face with it, but I let you know. And so that was the biggest lesson that I learned, is that, like you said, my opinion and my perspective really matters.
And I love that. Where'd you go to high school, out of curiosity?
McIntosh.
My sisters went there. So we'll just have to compare notes. Yeah. And they were the only Latinas too.
Yeah.
So it was like, same thing. We were, again, brand new into the area. So let's talk about women supporting women. Who are some of the most inspirational women you've met that have benefited your career or have lifted you up in a way you needed it most? Because I think that's also very important. And if it was women, but it also, if you have men, because for me, a lot of men have lifted me up. So tell me, and I'm going to start with you, Tamara, and then April, and then Julie.
Oh, I've had so many women in my life that have lifted me up. And I guess some people that come to mind is, like I said, I founded a nonprofit organization, and there are 3 other ladies that founded that organization with me. And so I always like to say that we met each other probably in our early 20s, and now we're into our 30s. And I like to say we've grown up together, and just seeing each of us make progression throughout our lives when it comes to our careers and even within families and getting married and things like that I see the things that they can do and what they're able to do. And I think, oh, well, I can do those things too, because I think a lot of times we don't look as our peers as people that can be a great source of inspiration. And so those ladies have lifted me up.
And oh my goodness. And I love to learn more about the organization that you are doing, you're working with. So in the chat after, we'll add notes about what that organization does and how you impact, young women. But that is so true, is the impact that when people see you and they see, I'm like her, you really do influence that individual's thought process is what they can do. Julie, how about you?
So for myself, I have two older sisters, or the three of us total. So, they were always my biggest supporters. They always had my back growing up. My middle sister, she is a principal at an elementary school. She wakes up at 5 o'clock in the morning, goes there, opens the doors, works all day long. And then she ended up, she wanted to get her PhD. So after her classes, she'd go, drive to USC, take night classes. She did that for 3 years in a row to get her PhD. So she's one of the people that always inspire me to do better and be better and stick through it, even when things get tough. And another person was you, Teresa. So I remember, you and I had met like 4 or 5 years ago. I think it was at the national convention at ARIA National Convention. Gina Blafari had introduced the two of us, and we had a brief, we had a conversation. And I remember you grabbed my arm and you said to me, Julie, one day you will be you will be president of ARIA. I don't know if you remember that or not.
I did. I remember, because I really believe that. I was like, goodness, you have everything.
So I remembered, like, you had mentioned that to me. I was thinking at the time, like, I would never be a chapter president. I would never be president, because I had just joined ARIA. It was like my very first year being there. And I thought, like, but that was like, a light bulb went on at that moment. And I was thinking, actually, that would be something I'd be open to, I'd be interested in, But it was so far away from my thoughts. But you kind of gave me that push and that nudge. And you always, always calling me, checking up on me, and pushing me to do stuff. So I really, I'm thankful for you.
Make me cry. Thank you so much. I really do appreciate that, because it makes me feel good, right? But I just, I see so much potential. I see so much opportunity in all of us. And I really thank you again for that. April, how about you?
I would say it would be my mom. It has been, the most inspirational person in my life. She, raised 5 children. She raised 5 children and had a career as well. And she never, we would never know. I never knew that she was out working or, struggling. She never let that be known to any of her kids. Like I said, I would have never known that we didn't have money. I thought I was, I thought I was growing up rich. But she's definitely been my constant supporter of my career. She always, said I could do anything. She made me a strong person. She raised me as a strong Black woman. And she said, whatever you want to do, you name it, I know you can do it with determination. You just stay strong and faithful. We're very, I am a very faithful person when it comes to Christianity. I believe in God. I thank God every day, every moment of the day for what he's done and what he's given me and how far I've come in my career, because I know that there's nothing that I could have done without, of course, him as well. But I would say my mother has been my true inspiration in life. And
what a beautiful thing. Is she watching?
No, she's not.
Oh my goodness. So you'll have to definitely record and show her the video of how you gave her homage. I think that's so beautiful that you talk about her in the way that you do.
I haven't seen my mom in over a year and a half because of COVID. So I'm going to surprise her for Mother's Day next weekend.
Oh, wow. Fantastic. Well, then wait till afterwards, because you don't want her, you want it to be a surprise. So and again, obviously she served as a mentor to you, right? And I think mentorship is extremely important, whether we realize it or whether we don't, right? Because I think that, and I read the book Lean In, and Sheryl Sandberg, talked about the fact that she really didn't personally have mentorship. Like she was never mentored, but she had people that she actually observed and learned from, that she would actually talk or connect with, right? And follow them. And that's really a great way in the event that you don't have a mentor, that you can actually learn. But do you guys have a mentor, or do you mentor anyone? So that's a question I really want. And whoever wants to answer that, just let me know. Who has a mentor or mentee? April?
I don't have a mentor. I don't, but there are people that I look at and, learn from. You are one, Teresa. Definitely one. And there's other people like, Charmaine Brown, who I think everyone probably knows on this call, maybe. But I do mentor others. I mentor and coach my entire team, the community lending team. So they look to me for guidance and advice. And, I teach them how to advance their career and to be professional, and to approach everything with, dignity and grace, and not take everything to heart, so.
It's a tough industry for us to be in. It's not easy, especially when we have to turn someone down that we know we really want to help. Julie, how about you or Tamara? Are you involved with, who was your mentor? Who do you mentor, or do you mentor anyone?
Yeah. So for myself, I feel very fortunate to be mentored by the best. Gino Blafari was my mentor in my early years of real estate. So, right off the bat, he taught me accountability, sticking to a routine, goal setting, and most importantly, gratitude. So he's my gratitude partner. I get a text from him every morning, and it's just a quick text of what we're grateful for. And there's days where I actually okay, I have to think about it. Like, what am I grateful for today? But it helps you focus on being grateful every single day. I mean, it was and even when I first started real estate too, he would text me we were accountability partners for working out and things like that. So just that accountability and making sure you stick with your routines and all of that. But most of all, I mean, he's probably one of the most busiest people in real estate, but he also showed me that, no matter how important you are, how busy you are, you make time for people and make them feel valued. And so, I mean, for me, I feel like, I'm just an agent, I'm not a, CEO or vice president or anything like that, but, he makes time for people. So I really appreciate that. And I wanted to kind of pass that on to, my mentees. So I'm a mentor here in Irvine at the Irvine office. We have about 35 mentees here in our mentor program. And so, I have two people that also other agents that help me with the mentees as well. But, basically everything that I've learned through my mentorship with Gino, I kind of implement, and I kind of share that with my mentees, and, try to implement those types of things in their training as well.
I agree with you on that. He is actually somebody that I also have learned so much from. He is a mentor to me. And I will tell you, I talk to people all the time who do not talk to their CEOs directly, that don't have any connection. And that is not the case with Gino. He has the time, as busy as he is, to connect with everyone. And that's something that's so impressive. And it really kind of puts you on the right ground to be able to give back to others, because you see him giving. And you're not just an agent, you are a powerful force that really helps. You're the backbone of the reason that we're working today. You are why we're here today, because of the work you do. So I just want to make sure you knew that. Tamara, how about you?
Well, I would say within our organization at Harry Norman, there are two women I really kind of looked up to. One is Jenny Bernard, who is our CEO, and she's just, her leadership and how she leads with a lot of style and very thoughtful in how she leads. And so I just always that's the direction and what I want to be like. And then also Ashu Sharma, who is just a go-getter. She just is, and she's really involved in the community. And so also a champion in diversity. And so those are two women that I really look up to. And then when it comes, we have a mentoring program, actually an employee mentoring program at Harry Norman. And so I am able to work with those employees who are mentors to other mentors. And so I really take joy and pride in that. So.
Well, you do have some great leaders. I mean, Jenny is so elegant, finesse, caring, compassionate. And I could not peg her. She was on the show 2 weeks ago, and she's just such a go-getter and so dynamic. So you really do have some phenomenal. And so, Julie, you do too. You've got Mary Lee, who is now with Home Services, and Martha, who is an amazing person too. So let's talk about, one thing that I really want to know is, sometimes people see you in the roles that you're in your achievements and what level you have come to, and they think it was easy, right? They see and they think, but all of us have had failures or things that have happened to us that we realize now, wow, what challenges did you have that really changed the course of what you were doing? And how did you get back on and say, you know what, I'm going to move forward. This is going to be okay. Julie, you shared a little bit about that, but and there's anything we really want to know, because people need to know it's okay to fail. It's okay to fail. You just need to get back up and try again until you do it, right. Thomas Edison once said, "I never failed. I just found 1,000 ways to do it right, to finally do it right." Tamara, let's start with you first.
Oh gosh, I feel like, not that I fail every day, but you just make little mistakes, like in things that you think about, oh, I shouldn't have said it that, or I should have done it that way. And just every day kind of can be really hard on yourself. But what I've learned is to give myself grace. And like you said, just because maybe you said something wrong or that conversation didn't, especially in HR, sometimes we have some really hard conversations. And I'm uncomfortable having those conversations, and the people I'm having the conversation with are very uncomfortable with. And so I don't always say everything perfect, but I've learned it's not about perfection. That's not what leadership is about. It's about making those mistakes, getting back up and moving forward. And so every day, that's what I just keep doing, putting one foot in front of the other and trying my best.
Oh, and that's beautiful. And it is. HR is probably one of the hardest works that you have, because it's you're a psychologist. It's a good thing that you were a teacher before, because you have to have that both empathy, but also teaching right moments for the people that work with you. April, how about you? What were some obstacles or challenges that you faced that you realize it just made you stronger?
I think about being a mother and a wife and trying to balance a career and have a career. So that was the biggest obstacle, because again, I have 4 children. I raised four children, and I, like I said, was very involved in their lives with all their different activities, and I didn't want to miss any of those activities. So I guess trying to find that work-life balance, it was and I still don't really know if I have that work-life balance now, because I'm always, it seems like I'm always working. The pandemic,
even on your day off, right?
Yeah, the pandemic hit and I'm working more than I did before. I was like, oh my gosh, is this ever gonna get? So I think that sometimes I think that I'm failing my family because I'm not, but I am there for them. I know, and they know that I'm there for them. But for instance, I remember this one time when my daughter was, I think she was about 9 or 10 years old, and she was in the kitchen and I was cooking, but I was always on the phone because I started out as an originator, as a loan officer, so I was always on the phone talking to a client and, trying to give the client advice or take loans. And I remember hearing my daughter in the background. She's like, well, yeah, that's my mom. She's always on the phone. She's always working. And we can say, hey, mom, I just broke my arm. And she's like, give me a minute. I'm on the phone with a client or something. So, at that, when she said that and I heard her, I started to think, I'm like, wow, am I doing the right thing? Should I, be a stay-at-home mom, or should I really be out here, trying to build a career? So, but, I was able to do both. My children are very successful. They're college graduates. They have good jobs and careers. So I guess I did the right thing, or I did something right.
Absolutely. You set that example, right? And we do. I mean, we really are, our children are our biggest asset, and they really study us and where we are and how we do, and really impact their futures as well. And Julie, I know you also have that same work-life balance too, with three children and being a single mother. So, I know that was a challenge for sure, because you brought that up. But anything else that you want to share, and any life work balance also that you would also share with the people that are in our audience?
Yeah, so I mean, like as women, we wear so many different hats. We're the mom, we're the friend, we're the professional, we're, on different, different associations, things like that. There's so many different hats, friend, and we want to have a life at the same time. So it's like, it's balancing that all. And, women are stereotypically characterized as the primary caretakers of the family. And so, we kind of feel like that's our role, as, we work all day long and we have to come home, we cook dinner, we make sure the laundry's done, make sure the homework's done, the kids are, taken to their sports, and, their grades are up, and there's so many different things that we have to do as women. So, I mean, that's something that I think a lot of people struggle with. I can remember one time, so I'm on this charity board. There's about 10 people on this board of directors, 8 men, 2 women. And so we had gone out to dinner. We had a board meeting, and then afterwards we went out to dinner, and everyone brought their spouses. And I remember vividly, like, after the dinner, the men decided to step out and smoke their cigars and have whiskey outside. So the other woman that was also on the board, she didn't show up. So I was actually the only woman at the time. So I was conflicted, because I was thinking between the gender role that I play as a woman, do I stay at the women's table and hang out with the ladies, or do I go out and smoke cigars with the men? And so that was a really defining moment for me, where I was thinking okay, do I break that gender barrier? Do I hang out with the men because because I am on the board of directors, I am on the board, so I should be kind of hanging out with the men. But then I felt like as a woman I should be staying. So that was a really aha moment for me. But I spoke to one of the guys. I'm like, hey, should I do I go with you guys? And he's like, yeah. He's like, of course you should. It was kind of of course. So that was a very kind of proud moment for me. I guess that kind of broke that gender barrier. And like April said, I felt like I had a seat at the table. So that was a really good feeling, and kind of helped me to have confidence to take these bigger positions and do these things, and feel as my voice is heard equivalently to the other men on my board. So that was a really good feeling. So I mean, despite that, yes, I'm a woman, yes, I'm a mother, yes, I have all these different hats that we carry, but when you're on a board, or I think now in this generation that we are in, women have made great strides in being able to kind of project their voice. And so I think that, that was like I said, my aha moment, and it was a really good feeling. So
I love that you have equal footing, right? And
yes.
you should, right? You should. And whether you had decided to say, that was okay too, right? But the fact that you said, I have a choice, I can do that, and I'm going to go out with my board and meet with them and talk to them. And for those out there, that really is your decision. You now have that capability of deciding where and what you want to do. So again, always, my advice is always remember that. I want to share quickly one story. When I was involved with NARA, I remember that it was all men. I was the female president, and we were in a group just like you were, Julie. And I would always feel awkward, because the men would say, hey, let's go walk over here and this. And I'm like, should I go, or, what do I do? And I don't know, they didn't really invite me, because, it was a group that got, let's go. But I wasn't necessarily invited. And I remember going to one of my really good friends who was a guy, and I said, hey, what do I do? And he goes, I said, I don't think I'm invited. And he goes, of course you're invited. And by the way, I'm never invited either. I just go. So what are they going to say? No, you're not invited. So I thought, what a great perspective. They're walking over there, you walk with them. And so it was almost like it was like he did it too. And he was like, I don't always get invited. I just invite myself. It was really a great perspective that I realized you do need to invite yourself. You need to step up. And I think all of you, if you can think about that, just remember you are the driver. You're the one in the seat, and you can drive wherever you want your career to go and wherever you want to push. That's where you have to be and where you want to be. So I can't believe it. Can you believe we're done? We have so much fun. I love this. One last question. So tell me, because we always end every show with favorite book, favorite quote, or something you want to inspire or leave us with. And I'm going to start like I did with the show, Julie, with you, Tamara, and then April. So Julie, starting with you.
So one of my favorite quotes, it's by Denzel Washington. It goes like this: at the end of the day, it's not about it's not about what you have, or even what you have accomplished. It's about what you've done with those accomplishments. It's about who you've lifted up, who you've made better. It's about what you've given back. So that resonated with me, and it's something that I kind of have posted on my wall as well.
I love that's beautiful. I hadn't heard that quote. That's really nice. Tamara, how about you?
Well, my favorite quote, you've already mentioned it, but I will say it again because it is a quote that my grandmother repeated to me time and time again. She lived her life by it. She passed away in December. And so it's give the world the best you have, and the best will come back to you. And so all of my mother, my aunts, but all the grandkids, we know that. And that's each of us use that all the time. And so that's how we live our lives.
And that's such a beautiful motto. I was really touched by it. It was a beautiful motto, and I can understand. I'm going to do that. I'm going to have my motto because Tamara has that. I want mine. So it's again, just thank you again, Tamara, for that and sharing that with us. It is very significant, and I am so happy that you're honoring your grandmother with that beautiful saying that you all use. April, how about you?
Well, mine is not a quote. It's just it's a poem by Langston Hughes, and it's called Mother to Son is the name of the poem. And what the poem is, and I just remember this from growing up because my father bought me a book of poems by Langston Hughes, and I just picked this poem, and I don't know, it's always stuck with me. And it's about the difficulties of that Black people face growing up in a racist society, and the obstacles that they have to face. And it's about a woman talking to her sons, telling him that life isn't a crystal staircase. It has obstacles, it has cracks, it has all these things in it, but that, it explores dignity and determination, and that for them to stick with it and to never give up, and they'll win and overcome.
What a beautiful, it's Mother to Son.
Yes, Mother to Son by Langston Hughes.
Thank you for sharing that. And I'll make sure to add that to our information. So for those of you who are not familiar with that poem, we'll have it. Well, thank you all. And again, April, for you, it's your special day. Thank you for being here with us. I really love that you are all leading change and helping promote minority homeownership and grow diversity in the companies and the involvement of all the organizations that you work with. I found this great quote that I believe describes each of you. And that is that everyone has a fire, right? They all have that fire, but the champions know when to ignite the spark. And each of you are the sparks making a difference. And so thank you again for being here, being part of the Women Who Lead series. And as we talk to our audience, as we say goodbye, thank you for sharing today and learning from these phenomenal leaders. Please join us in 2 weeks from today, that's May 14th, when we're going to feature some dynamic women who are what we call the promoters. They're constantly dedicated to promoting their organizations, promoting their efforts to their different spheres of influences, and they are also dynamic in the work that they do. And that's 2 weeks from today. And then thank all of you for joining us. Don't forget, if you haven't yet, join our Women Who Lead series Facebook page. All you have to do is like it and then you'll get to see all the episodes. Also on YouTube, we have a channel, so go to it. And remember, my biggest motto is always bring other women up the ladder when you're climbing up to the top. Thanks again. Bye-bye, everybody. Have a fantastic week, and we'll see you in 2 weeks.
Bye.
Bye-bye.